Picture an author in Devon writing a niche book about medieval gardening. Few bookshops stock it, so she puts it on Amazon. Within days, orders arrive from Tokyo, Toronto, and Lyon. She doesn't handle a single box. Amazon staff print the book on demand, pack it, and ship it. When a customer in Japan buys a copy at 2 in the morning, a robotic shelf in a warehouse brings the blank paper to a worker, and the book is assembled right then and there. Amazon takes a cut of the sale, the author gets her royalty, and the customer receives the book the next day. Nobody is quite sure who benefits more, though the 8-foot Sasquatch standing before you rather suspects it's the one whose name adorns the cardboard box. That one little book reveals the central riddle of the most powerful company on Earth. When you think of Amazon, you probably think of delivery vans and brown parcels. You might think they make their money by selling you things. It's terribly intuitive to assume the world's biggest shop makes its fortune by, well, selling things at a markup. But it's actually a bit more complex than that. There's a reason they're happy to sell you a television at practically no profit at all. Allow me to explain how this empire actually functions. Let's begin with the foundation, which is the part you already know about. This is Amazon's online store. When you buy a kettle, a pair of running shoes, or a bundle of socks, you're engaging with their first-party retail business. That means Amazon buys the inventory directly from manufacturers and sells it to you. They purchase at wholesale prices, add a modest markup, and post it out. It's a straightforward retail operation, exactly like what a traditional department store has done for a century. However, the margins here are dreadful. The markup on physical goods is terribly thin. After paying for the inventory, the warehouse space, the delivery fuel, and the staff, there's almost nothing left over. Sometimes, particularly on popular electronic devices, they sell items at a loss just to win your loyalty. They want your attention, your browsing data, and your credit card. So, if selling goods directly to you isn't the secret, what is? To understand the true engine, we must look at the second part of their store, which is the third-party marketplace. This is where our medieval gardening author lives. In the third-party marketplace, Amazon doesn't actually own the items. Independent sellers use Amazon's website to reach customers. You see a product, you buy it, and an independent business mails it to you. Amazon simply charges these sellers a fee for the privilege of using their digital shop window. It's frightfully clever. By inviting millions of other merchants onto their platform, Amazon suddenly offers you, the customer, an infinite selection of goods. You can buy a lawnmower, a tub of protein powder, and a peculiar attachment for your vacuum cleaner, all in one basket. Amazon takes a commission on every sale, and crucially, they don't have to risk their own money buying the stock. This marketplace is vastly more profitable than the first-party retail side, and it's a core piece of the puzzle. But how does that niche author get her book to a customer in Japan overnight? That brings us to a service called Fulfillment by Amazon. It's often abbreviated as FBA. In simple terms, sellers pay Amazon a rather hefty fee to store their merchandise inside Amazon's own warehouses. When an order comes in, Amazon's staff and robots fetch the item, pack it into the famous cardboard box, and hand it over to a delivery driver. The independent business owner never touches the product at all. They just ship bulk pallets to Amazon and let the machinery take over. This generates billions in fees for Amazon, but it achieves something even more valuable. It makes Amazon's famous Prime delivery promise possible. Prime is the velvet rope that keeps you locked inside the ecosystem. You pay a yearly subscription for fast, free delivery, and suddenly it feels utterly absurd to buy a £10 toaster anywhere else. The subscription fee itself is just the beginning, however. Prime turns you into a captive audience. Once you've paid for that membership, you naturally want to get your money's worth, so you start your shopping journey directly on Amazon's search bar. You bypass Google entirely. You bypass the independent bookshop on the high street. This behavioral lock-in is absolute gold dust. It guarantees a relentless river of orders, which keeps the marketplace sellers desperate to be listed there, which keeps the fees flowing. It's a perfectly designed loop. We still haven't reached the true treasure room, though. While selling things, connecting buyers and sellers, and charging for storage is all rather marvelous, the the real money is somewhere else entirely. Thus, Amazon Web Services, usually called AWS, was born. AWS is what the industry calls cloud computing. Instead of a company buying their own expensive computers and housing them in a damped basement, they simply rent processing power and digital storage from Amazon over the internet. It's exactly like renting electricity from the national grid, rather than building your own personal power station in your garden. If you start a new mobile app and suddenly 1 million people download it tomorrow, you don't panic about your computers crashing. You just click a button, and Amazon gives you more digital horsepower for a few hours. This is where the situation becomes truly extraordinary. AWS powers a staggering portion of the modern internet. Streaming services, global banks, and government agencies rely on it. The margins on renting out software and computing power are spectacular because once the data center is built, running it costs almost nothing. While a pair of socks requires cotton, manufacturing, shipping fuel, and physical labor, a gigabyte of digital storage is essentially pure profit. AWS is the financial engine that keeps the entire company ticking over. It generates the vast majority of the company's operating profit, happily subsidizing all those cheap televisions and free deliveries you enjoy. So, they've built an empire of physical goods and an empire of invisible data. But they aren't finished with you yet. There's a third layer to this operation, and it lives right inside your living room. They design and manufacture their own electronic devices, e-readers, smart speakers, and television sticks. These are often sold at cost, meaning Amazon makes absolutely no profit on the physical hardware. How perfectly absurd, you might think. Why would a colossal enterprise bother manufacturing gadgets for no immediate gain? The answer is access. When you put a smart speaker on your kitchen counter, you're inviting a direct line to their store into your home. The hardware exists simply to remove any friction between your desire and your wallet. If you run out of washing powder, you don't visit a shop. You simply speak to the room, and a package arrives tomorrow. They own the gateway, so they own the transaction. On top of this, they operate a sprawling advertising business. When you search for a generic product, you'll notice certain brands appear at the very top of the page. Those brands are paying Amazon a small fortune for that privileged placement. Because Amazon knows exactly what you buy, what you browse, and what you search for, their advertising is incredibly effective. It's highly targeted, much like the social media giants, but with one massive advantage. Social media companies only know what you talk about. Amazon knows exactly what you actually open your wallet and purchase. They sell that certainty back to the companies making the goods. Advertising has quietly become one of their most lucrative ventures, growing rapidly year after year. Let's bring it all together, shall we? Amazon isn't a single business. It's a deeply interconnected machine. The online store draws you in. The marketplace expands the selection infinitely. The fulfillment service ensures it arrives tomorrow. Prime locks you into the habit. That habit generates the consumer data, which makes the advertising business wildly profitable. And underneath it all, the invisible cloud computing service rakes in enormous profits, funding the entire grand experiment. If you pull one string, the whole tapestry moves. They aren't just selling you a kettle, they're renting out the global infrastructure of commerce to everyone else whilst skimming a percentage off the top. I dare say it's a masterclass in strategy. Next time you tear open a brown cardboard box, remember that you've just engaged with multiple, entirely different global industries at once. It's quite a thought, isn't it? Now, I shan't keep you from your day. I'm dreadfully curious about your perspective, my dear viewer. Which part of this sprawling empire surprised you the most? Was it the invisible cloud, the third-party marketplace fees, or something else entirely? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. If you found this exploration of modern commerce helpful, do pass the video along to a friend who loves a good mystery. Give it a generous thumbs up to help the algorithm share the lesson, and do subscribe so we can untangle the next great puzzle together.